Welcome back. You're watching SA Today with me, Unathi Pagyasha. Let's take you here now. The ANC in the Eastern Cape has described the killing of its two members in the Nelson Mandela Bay Region as a barbaric act. Ward 43 councillor in Nelson Mandela Bay, Andile Andries, and branch secretary Lubabalo Kesa were gunned down outside Andries' home yesterday. The killing of these two members happened just a few days before the much-anticipated ANC Provincial Elective Conference. Now, let's get analysis. We're now joined via Zoom by political analyst Dr Oscar van Heerden. Dr van Heerden, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Now, before we get into the conference that is likely to happen on Friday, let's perhaps begin with the recent developments in the province. Now, of course, there's no word if this was a political hit or even related to taxi violence in the province. But when you consider that Andries also served as the secretary of the National Mandela Bay Taxi Council, and just recently in February, Ward 20 councillor Andile Boy was also gunned down in a similar fashion, and another ANC member gunned down. Make this make sense for us. What are your thoughts?
Yes, indeed. I mean, Nati, the thing is that people are reluctant to just say that this is a political hit, because, as you indicate, Andries was involved very much so with taxi associations, and so it could be either. But one cannot discount the fact that this is on the back of an Eastern Cape Provincial Conference that has taken some time to actually come off the ground, and so we can't simply dispel the fact that it could be related to ANC politics. Exactly.
And now, talking about the conference coming off the ground, the big question is, in fact, that will this conference actually get off the ground come Friday? Talk to us about what is likely to play out, especially if you consider the bearings of this conference on the possible implications on the National Elective Conference in December.
Yes, no, I mean, the truth of the matter is that there are, in the main, two groupings that are vying for the top positions within the province and the provincial leadership. And as you rightfully point out, the reason why the conference could not take place for the past few weeks is because there has been disputes about credentials, about whether it is legitimate members, whether it is legitimate branches of the ANC, and the National has also been involved in terms of resolving some of these disputes, because there is a National Disputes Committee. We now made to understand that most of these have been ironed out, and indeed, if there is general agreement from both sides that they are okay with the credentials and the status of the conference, then hopefully we will have a conference this coming weekend. Now, the impact of the conference, of course, is slightly different from other contested provinces in the sense that both camps, whether it is Oscar Mabuyane or whether it is indeed Lubabalo Kesa, have actually pledged their support for a second term for President Ramaphosa. And so it seems that these are two groups. There is some contestation at a provincial level as to who should lead the province, but they are in one mind and unison on the idea of a second term for Ramaphosa. And this means at the end of the year.
Now, you talk about two camps, and in fact, you also placed Matikizela and Oscar Mabuyane, in these camps. Where does that leave Mlibo Kobishiane? What is your sense on him?
Yes, the thing is that I mentioned these two names, Unati, because they are the ones that it seems are attracting the largest numbers. There are, of course, other players that is trying to be seen as someone who could potentially broker a deal, who could be a neutral individual, but I don't know. The politics of the province is such, and in fact the politics in the country is such, that there is very room for accommodation. It seems everyone is quite determined to want to occupy leadership positions, because it is so important that when they go to the ANC National Elective, they are going to have to be in a particular backing a particular horse.
Dr. van Heerden, we seem to be losing you a bit there, but I want to squeeze this question in. The name of Zweli Mkhize, the former health minister, keeps creeping up. What's your take then on the so-called Zweli Mkhize camp eyeing for a win for Madikizela for the provincial chairperson? What would that mean for him, that is Mkhize at this point in time, and his future prospects within the party, particularly the top six?
Yes, look, the thing is that there has been rumors that Madikizela somehow expressed support for Mkhize's candidacy for president of the ANC. He has now come out in recent days saying that he has never made such a statement, and in fact he is supporting Ramaphosa. I think that Dr. Mkhize is best placed to try and deal with the allegations that is swirling around him and dealing with the step-aside matter instead of wanting to bet on who is going to come out tops at the Eastern Cape Provincial Conference.
Should this the conference go ahead and leadership is then elected, what is at stake for ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa come December?
Well, as I indicated earlier, the fact that both leaders of these two dominant groups are saying they support Ramaphosa, we can then infer that regardless of who actually wins at the end of this weekend in the Eastern Cape as a province is going to be united behind the presidency of Ramaphosa for a second term. And I think this is why it is so crucial that the conference actually go ahead, but also peacefully, and that there's some semblance of unity as they go through the weekend, because this will definitely stand Ramaphosa in good stead.
Speaking about the ANC president, talk to us about your thoughts about recent developments, during May Day, where he was ushered out in a police inyala. And of course, now in his letter today saying, this could have been avoided. Is it a sense of, or a case of union leaders as well as the ANC didn't read the room, particularly as you look at where this, May Day was expected to happen and the history at that particular bout?
Nadia, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, obviously there's particular apathy, there's particular anger, frustration on the part of union members, and one can't deny that. But I do also think that I agree that it could have been avoided, not so much in the sense that you meet the demands of workers, but also just in terms of general safety and security around the president. We know, for example, that the workers should never have been allowed to break through the barrier and actually come all the way up to the stage, which then made it a much more physical encounter. And also, even though the president tried to address some of the issues of concerns, they simply were having none. And it seemed that they came with a premeditated agenda to make sure that he's not going to speak, he's not going to address because workers are angry and workers are frustrated. So I think there was mistakes on all parts. It could have been avoided, and it's most unfortunate that the president had to leave in the manner in which he did.
Dr. van Heerden, thank you so much for your analysis and your time this afternoon. Appreciate it.